Next up at UFC 270, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo in their third matchup. Brandon Moreno is 19-5 overall, 4-0-1 in his last five, coming off of the win over Deiveson Figueiredo, who is 20-2 overall, 3-1-1 in his last five. This is the third and likely final fight between these two. In the first fight, we saw a majority draw, which means two judges said it was a draw. One did not, and that judge gave it to Figueiredo. And in that first fight, don't forget, a point was taken away from Deiveson Figueiredo. So Figueiredo won that fight, right? The point deduction is the only reason there was two judges made it a draw. So Figueiredo basically won that first fight. The second fight, however, Brandon Moreno absolutely dominated. Figueiredo just seemed off, seemed out of it, like he didn't take it serious or it just wasn't in the right shape. I don't know what it was, but Brandon Moreno dominated that second fight, which is why he's a good-sized favorite this go-around. Brandon Moreno is great. He's very tough. He's got a great chin. He puts on a nonstop pace. In their first fight, he won the wrestling exchanges and the scrambles. He doesn't have the same power as Figgy, but he has the volume to overwhelm. And just like last time, he needs to push the pace and keep it dirty to exhaust Figueiredo and win this fight. Deiveson Figueiredo is a very well-rounded guy. He's dangerous everywhere. He's really good at baiting you into striking exchanges. He'll make you think that you're inside range when you're not, and then he'll have you thinking you're outside of range, and he comes wild in there, hitting you with big, heavy shots. His BJJ is great. He's incredible off his back, and not to mention, again, the power in his hands. He has genuine power. The issue, however, is he's massive, and that affects his cardio. I mean, he has legitimate cardio issues and has for a while. I mentioned this last time I broke this fight down, but Manel Kopp did an interview with MMA Junkie a few weeks ago now, where he mentioned that Figueiredo had big weight-cutting issues in his last fight, and that he was literally in the hospital leading up to that fight. So that would explain why he was just off in that last fight. And Manel Kopp's breakdown of the fight was that Figgy's got incredible power, he's dangerous, and Moreno feels that power in the fights, and he needs to get it past the third round to win the fight. I mostly agree with that insight, but if you look at the first fight, the strikes were basically even, and the difference was that Figueiredo was just doing more damage, and that was why the judges were favoring him in that fight. And I mentioned the point deduction, so that would have been a win for him. Otherwise, the second was very, very one-sided. Figgy gassed hard. Moreno controlled the entire thing. Figueiredo has the power and did have grappling success in the first two fights, but grappling is exhausted. I want to go Moreno here. I did go Moreno when I broke this down early a few weeks ago, but I have since seen Deiveson Figueiredo's Instagram and his interviews, and he has changed his life, and that dude looks like he is in the best shape he's ever been in. And honestly, he's the more talented fighter. He's the better fighter. Cardio is his biggest issue. And if he has fixed even 25% of the cardio, I think he beats Brandon Moreno. So Figueiredo's my pick, but I will be watching weigh-ins very closely to see what he looks like. And I know Moreno's a popular pick here, but the reality is Deiveson Figueiredo's the better fighter, period. And it's just, will his cardio hold up or will it not? Because I think we all agree, if his cardio is there, he wins every single time they fight. What do you think?
I disagree. It's kind of funny the embeddeds have started this week, and the second embedded, these guys couldn't be further from each other in like personalities. It's kind of like the same thing with the heavyweights. You have the Gane, the destroyer, and then you have Francis, kind of the destroyer, the intimidating figure, and you have Gane, that's happy-go-lucky guy. This is kind of the same thing. You have Deiveson Figueiredo, God of War, just KOing people, knocking out people. You have Brandon Moreno just kind of playing with Legos. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Just the nicest dude in the world. That amplified in the second episode of Embedded. It starts off with Brandon Moreno Moreno. His daughter's birthday party. He's hitting the pinata. Everyone's having fun. And then it goes directly to Deiveson Figueiredo at a gun range where he sets up a Lego UFC belt because Brandon Moreno loves Legos and just starts destroying it with a gun. It's just so funny the way they set up that shot because the difference of personalities. I agree. I was on Figure. I was kind of on the opposite side here. I was on Figgy kind of the whole way lead up to this fight because I agree. I think that I think he's overall better fighter. And if his cardio is there, I think he wins the fight. You saw that in the first fight. His cardio was there. It kind of looked like he was going to gas, but he got his second win. He looked great, and he won that first fight, even though it was a draw. And then that second fight you mentioned, he just looked awful. And I agree. It looks like he's keeping his weight down. He always, and somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it was Mbe, he's always shredded, right? I mean, that guy is always going to be shredded, but he looks even more shredded. He looks kind of like that a couple days before weigh-ins kind of shredded, kind of a week out. I think he's keeping his weight low. I think he's really being on top of this. I think he was in a camp with, he stayed with Henry Cejudo and stuff, so I think he's taking it very, very seriously. With that said, Jesse told me it's not Viva la Mexico, it's just Viva Mexico. In that embedded I mentioned, Brandon Moreno showed up to training, put on a Michael Jordan jersey and started hitting mitts. He is the most confident, humble dude I've ever seen in my entire life. The confidence is there. I love throwing the Jordan jersey on. I'm Brandon Moreno now all the way. I'm going to put money on him. I like him to win this fight in just typical Brandon Moreno fashion. I think he just toughs it out and finds a way to win. And he has Marcelo Rojo in his corner. He was at his daughter's birthday party. And there's nobody better to have in your corner than Marcelo Rojo.
Yeah, maybe Henry Cejudo might be a little better to have in your corner. But do you like him enough for the $8,500 in DraftKings?
Oh, he's going to be in my lineup.
Yeah, it's funny because the last fight, everybody was like, double up DraftKings, double up DraftKings. It'll be a war like the first one. But these guys have screwed everybody. In the first fight, there was no winner. So just to clarify, that first card, I did double them up. I'm the only person to have a flawless card. I went 4-0-2. That's incredible. Anyway, no winner, so nobody got the win points. And then the second go around, everybody doubled up, and it was Brandon Moreno scored some points, but Deiveson scored almost nothing because he did nothing. So either way, it's an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it, and then hopefully this is the end of it. If Figueiredo
And the weird thing is too is Deiveson is probably the overall better fighter, but sometimes you see what happens even with Nunes leaving ATT allegedly is sometimes you can adjust too much when you lose, right? So I mean, it was a bad fight. He lost. Sometimes you can adjust too much and try to do things a little bit too different that's uncomfortable for you, and that's where you really find yourself in some trouble. So we'll see how he reacts to losing that second fight.
Yeah, I mean, he almost didn't have a care in the world that week, and he seems very different now. So I like Deiveson. You like Brandon Moreno. I think we all can agree it should be a close fight, and they're evenly matched. And all of our like the thread here is accurate. I think Deiveson's the better fighter. You think Brandon Moreno is the fresher, more creative fighter, and we'll see what ends up happening. I think this entire fight literally comes down to Deiveson Figueiredo's cardio. The whole fight. There's nothing Brandon Moreno can do if Deiveson Figueiredo is in phenomenal shape. So, DraftKings, I will probably spend the $7,700 on Figueiredo. And Monkey Knife Fight, 101 strikes is not that many if you think this goes 3 rounds. And the round line here is 3 instead of 4, which is interesting. Do you think this is a decision or close to it?
Yeah, but I mean, both these guys are tough. I think that the finish was an anomaly. I think this is much more like the first fight, kind of back and forth. It'd be interesting to see if there is more grappling on either side because they're both good grapplers in their own right. So, but I still think it's a more play.
Yep, I agree. I think this looks a lot closer to the first fight.
Sorry, these smaller guys, because I keep forgetting that this is a 5-round fight. So, I mean, these smaller guys should be able to blow through that.
Yep, I like the more here as well. Go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. It's daily fantasy. It's a ton of fun. It's super easy. All you need to do is say more or less on how many strikes these guys will land in their fight. And if you're right, you can triple your money. You want to put a few of them together, you can 25 times your money. Ton of fun. wewantpicks.com/MKF. And if you want 50 free bucks and you want to play around with some of the round lines, the round line right now is at 3.5. It's almost even money. I would hit the more on that. I'll see what that looks like tomorrow. I would hit the more on that. And I would go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Jump into Bet Online probably, or Bet US usually has better odds. Make a deposit, then come back, let me know, and I'll send you 50 bucks as a thank you.